Hi, Ann Cornick from Paint and Porcelain. I'm here to teach beginners how to get started in China painting and recruit experienced painters to paint along with us. Of course, we're going to be painting eggs. We're going to be painting bisque eggs. That's what I like to paint. Now, there's a number of different kinds of eggs you can paint. This is what a bisque egg looks like. See, there's no shine to it. Can you see that? Absolutely none. Whereas with the porcelain egg, it's real shiny. You can also get it in colors, but not from any of the China painting places. This is a pink egg. I also was able to find green, blue, and yellow. Today we're going to work with metallic paints. We're going to work with our egg lathe. We're also going to work with matte paints. I will tell you a little bit about how to use your regular porcelain paint, but I have to tell you that when you use it on bisque, it doesn't always come out nice. I did this little duck and I thought I would like it, but do you see how shiny it is? Yeah, you can see. I was a little disappointed. I didn't have a yellow matte at the time. I tried to mix it. I took white matte and I mixed it with yellow, but it still came out shiny. So that's what a lot of your regular paints will do if you paint on bisque, but not all of them. I don't have any trouble with greens. I don't seem to have any trouble with blues. I also don't have a lot of problems with the pinks as long as I do them lightly and coat them so that like I'm doing a pink on one coat and then maybe a little bit of pomp. So a couple of things, pros and cons of painting on bisque. First of all, cons, okay? It'll wear out your brushes. This is rough. It's a rough surface. And so it's not overly rough, but it's rougher than painting on the regular porcelain. So it's going to wear out the corners of your brushes. So you may want to use brushes that are a little bit older, but you still want those clean corners. So again, you might want to just get brushes that you use for bisque. It's also harder to clean. So if you make a mistake and you want to get it off, it's more porous. And so especially reds and dark colors are going to soak in, and you're really going to have to use, I think in a lot of cases, I try my mineral spirits, but it turns out that it's probably more turpentine to get the color off. The pros though are you get a very soft finish. And I think you have more control when you paint on bisque, and that's why I'm a fan of bisque. I use a mixture of oil of balsam of copaiba and mineral oil, half and half. It's a very simple combination. It's the one that I learned from Randy Willett at the Indiana school last year. And because it has the mineral oil in it, I think it goes on a little easier. When I use my regular medium, it drags and I get very frustrated. But this has just a little bit of lift to it and it's kind of nice. So that's what I use. So just real quickly, if you want to know where to get eggs, I have this all written down. Dallas has the 2.5-inch bisque, which is this size, DallasChina.com. And they have some bunnies in bisque if you want them. Everything is $2.95. Then Maryland has the 2 3/4 size egg, which is bigger. And those are, and they also have them in glazed, and those are $4.25. If you want to get an egg lathe, then the egg lathe I got at Amazon, and they have several different vendors on Amazon that carry them, and they're about $29. Okay, so that should give you enough of back. Oh, one other thing. If you're going to be using your eggs in the kiln, you're going to probably want these. These are little stands you can put the egg on when you're done painting. You just take and slip it on there and carry it down to your kiln. And if you have other things on the bottom of the kiln, it'll keep your egg from touching them or from rolling in the kiln. These are now carried by Dallas China. Dallas China has them in a small, a medium, and large. Now I have a thin and a fat one. I don't know where my parents got this one from. I got it from them. But I would think small, medium, and large hopefully would mean the size of the stick in the middle. Okay? Alrighty, I'm going to put you down and we'll talk a little bit about the egg lathe. After we're all done, I'm going to put up a link. So once we finish, you might want to go back and check. to my YouTube video that will have all the specifics about how to use the egg lathe. I'm just going to give you a quick overview because that's out there for you, and it has everything. Okay, so, I'm going to take an egg that I've already shown you, this little egg here. This is my egg lathe. It's totally plastic. When you're working on it, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to pull this side out completely. I also went through and marked all these little increments. It helps if you're trying to, you know, do something at this point of the egg. If you're going to be doing a lot of lines across the egg, it'll help you with that. I typically do just a line in the middle of the egg, like this. And then I either use, this is base for raised paste, or I use the color itself. Now this is metallic. This is a metallic purple that I put on here. Can you see how it shines? On this one, I did metallic white. Isn't that pretty? This is just regular blue, but if you put it on right, you can get a little bit of a sheen to it. This is China paint, no metallic. I have a gold metallic, that's how that looks. And I also have this is called rose copper. And this is the one I'm going to show you today. First of all, if there are any like prices on it, make sure you erase those now. They probably will fire off, but they're usually put on with pencil, and if you don't get them off, sometimes they stay, who knows. So I'm going to put, there's a big and a small. Here's the big washer, and then I have one that's smaller on the other side. I am going to pull this all the way back, and I'm going to put it so the flat end is against the smaller washer, and I'm going to use the big end to cradle this top part of the egg. See this up here, this top part? Okay. Then I'm going to push the egg up to it, and then I'm going to really, oops, hang on, really pull it and fasten this. There's a screw down here. I'll show it to you as soon as I fasten it. Okay, there's a screw down there, and I'm going to fasten it. This gives you a place to put your hands while you're doing this. Okay, like I said, I use balsam of copaiba, and I use half that and half mineral oil. And I'm just going to use, I have a palette that I keep for this time of year, and it has half matte paints and half of the metallic paints. It's just easier for me when I'm painting so that I have all my colors close by. And you just start putting this on here. Let me get a little more oil. Like I said, it takes a lot of oil to do this, but you don't want it so oily that it's super, super shiny, because if it gets super, super shiny, you're going to have a problem. And you just keep turning and painting. Now, you don't have to be exacting when you paint. Thank heavens, right? Because look at my mess. But the reason you don't have to be exacting is because you're going to go back and even this up. It probably will take you 2 coats to do this. You can run this the other way if you want, but I find that it interferes with the kind of flowers I can put on there, and it's much harder to design. So I like to just do it this way. And you can go back and forth if you want. Once you get it all the way around, then you start going through and just smoothing it. And it's going to have a beautiful sheen to it when you're done. This is going to take 2 coats. So then I'm going to take and I'm going to use my mineral spirits to clean my brush real well. I'm going to put my hand here, and here, let me move this so you can see a little better. Put my hand here, and I'm going to put the brush up against it, and I'm just going to go around and clean it up. Oh, here. Now make sure you clean that brush and you pat it thoroughly so that you don't have any leftover mineral spirits on there, because if you do, it will affect the paint and it will start to bleed. So that's how I do it. Then I turn it around and I do the other side. Ta-da! Now, you have to keep wiping it, cleaning your brush as you go to get it perfectly lined up there. Now I'm going to take, and I like to put these little dots around just to make the ribbon look a little fancy. And so I just take my pointer. And it's easier to do it while it's in here because you can rest your hand and just do the little dots. You really have to get the paint on there. Can you see what I'm doing here? Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's how I put my little dots on all the way around. Now, to take it off, it's a little tricky. What I find is, and I'm going to turn it around again, what I find is you have to release this little button down here. So you have to hold the egg, and it's not always easy to hold the egg. So I hold it against the top and the bottom like this so that I know I'm not touching any of the work I've done on it. And you might even want to have a little pliers. I have needle nose and I have these that I sometimes use so that I can do the loosening with one hand. So that's how you take it out, and then you put it on here. Okay, now I personally prefer to fire it at this stage when I have all of this done around the edges. I think it works easier, and I think it allows, because then on the second fire, all I need to do, let's pretend this is a second fire. On the second fire, you just take and go around with your hand at the end. So I paint my flower on the top using matte paint, and then I would finish by going around the edge, and I just put my finger in here and I just paint around the edge, and that way I can get a lot done. Now this has 2 fires on it, and this is a matte first fire for a rose. Okay, so matte paint. Matte paint I found at Campana, CAMPANA.com. I found it there, and they have a lot of matte paint available. Not everybody seemed to carry matte paint. Dallas had a little, but they only had a few colors. Now I have your metallic. You can tell it shines. But the matte, I always keep in a separate bag because it pretty much, if you look at it, here's a brown. It pretty much looks like your regular paint. And unless you read matte, and you know, you put this on expecting it to be regular paint and it would come up matte. So I always keep it in a separate bag so that I know which paints are my matte paints. I mix both the metallic and the matte paint with my regular mineral oil. I don't do anything fancy. I looked on every site I could think of, and the only place I could find the metallic was Held, H-E-L-D, of Holland, H-O-L-L-A-N-D. They used to be Held of Harrogate, and they are in England. Now it's Held of Holland, and I have ordered from them before, and the rates are not too bad, so that might be something you'd want to consider. Okay, so let's see how painting on here works with the bisque, with the matte. Now I've done things like my violets. You can do those. This is a first coat of matte paint for violets, except my purple is not, well, wait, I take that back. The blue is matte, but the purple is not, and neither is the green. So now, if you want to paint on here with matte paint, I use the same medium again. I use it for everything because I find that it just makes it go on much easier. So if I'm going to paint something on here, I could paint forget-me-nots. I do a lot of forget-me-nots. I like them. I do this is first coat. This is 2 coats. And the green on here is regular paint. This is matte. So you don't have to use the matte paint as long as you are aware that you have to do it very lightly and layer it. This is a chicken I did, and nothing on here is matte paint. So the chicken is very easy to do. This is a gold egg. I'll just show you how I did him. He's very simple. If you want a quick and easy little chicken to do. On him, I just took my yellow. It can be any yellow. And I made I just made lines like this. When I put my oil on, I go like this. And here, let me show you. I'll bring it in here for you. Okay, here's my oil. This is how I put my oil on my brush. I just dip it, dip both sides of the brush, and paint. That way I take a little of the oil off, and then I just pull down, pull down, pull down. This is a real easy chicken to do. You want to make them a little bit fat, and then the little head, you just turn them around, and you start going this way. If you're a beginner, this chicken is for you. Now, if you have a finer brush, on the next fire, you could probably use a finer brush to do him. I'm going to pull him down a little further down here. And I think I'm going to make him a little rounder on his head. And now I'm going to take, I have a little black here. I'll do his two little eyes. Oh, this is matte black. I only have my matte paints out today. So I'll do one little eye here, one little eye here. I don't have an orange, so I'm going to use my red just so you can see what I did for his beak, but it should be orange, obviously. And I make a little half circle for his beak. Boop, 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 boop. And then I come down and I make a little down and down, little 2 C's on the side, and just color it in. And I'll pull this out a little on this side and a little on that side. And then you put his little legs in, and these are little like triangles like this. Then you can come back and you can do a little more, you can make his little top a little more. I think the finer brush was probably the secret. I know his eyes are crooked. Let's fix that. And then just put a little white there, ta-da. And I just did the grass in a green. You take and you go like this, draw a little line up behind him a little ways. And then you can just pull from the bottom up, and that gives you grass, instant grass. And you can bring the color down a little bit, and you can bring the grass up this way. And that should be orange. He's wearing lipstick right now. That's not what I wanted him to do, but there. Anyway, that's one little chicken that you can do that makes it pretty simple. One warning about using metallics. If you are giving it to children that are going to put it in their mouth, the metallic can be toxic if they chew on it. So you don't want to do that. Those are just a few little tips. Another thing I might do on this one, for example, around the edge to make it a little special, I have, where is it? Over here. I have already mixed up some raised base, and I just take a nice thin brush like this, and I just put it on all the way around. So that gives you another option with them. Now, I wanted to show you this one. This is done with enamel, and it's a bouquet. And then around the edges, this was done by Arlene, and I can't remember her last name, but she did this cute little scrolling, one up like this, and one down like this, and one up like this, and one down like this. And then she put dots at the top of each of them. And I thought that was nice. And then she did the stems in just regular paint and did the leaves in the enamel. So there's another example. This is my first stage with the dots. I fire that. Then when I get it back, then when it comes to this stage, I paint, you know, a flower or whatever on it. And then when I'm done with that, I put my finger in the bottom, because this would need a second coat, and I put the second coat of gold on it. And all I do is go down the middle, like this. I don't redo anything unless it really needs it. I don't redo the band. But if you can see, that's sort of, here, there, can you see? It really kind of takes the highs and lows out. So this is all in the second fire. So I've got one fire on this guy, or whatever I'm doing here. And then I've got my second fire on the band, okay? And then I very carefully would lift this all off, like this, and put it on one of these and fire it. That's second fire. Then it'll come out like this. This is a first fire with 2 fires on the band, and I probably do one more fire on here and I'm done. And on here, at this point, all I'm going to do is darken what I need to darken. So I'm going to take a little of my, I have a matte pomp, and then I take and I just put in a little bit of depth all the way around. And put a little here, a little here. I put a little down in here. I might put a little on this side, just right there. Maybe on this side, just right there. And I may pull a little, oops, got too much there, up in this area just to define it a little better. And then I will pull it around. I will also do my leaves. Now these are the green leaves with the matte paint. So I don't want them to be that color forever. My matte paint green is this color. That's the only green I have right now. So I'm going to full load with my matte green, side load with like a warm brown green. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. And I will do these little guys here. And because it's going over matte, it's not going to be particularly shiny. Need a little more oil. There we go. And I can pull it out. I can pull this out. And then I can go back. You can use a Pico-Pay and even go back in here and redefine some of the cuts you had up in here. You can pull this back there just to make sure that they show up. And then I just keep going. I full load with the funny green, the matte green, and I side load with the brown, and I come back down here and I do this guy here. I mean with the brown, warm brown green. But you want to keep it extremely light. If you put it on, see, I'm putting it on as a shadow. I'm trying not to get, this is a little dark up in here, so I just press off what I have on my brush and try to lighten it up. The lighter it is like that, if it's light like that, it's less apt to have a shine to it. It's more apt to look the way you want it to. And then you just go around. If you get it too dark, press off your paint like that, and then go back and just pull it again. Press off and pull it. This is with the regular China paint, and it will get thin because you want a thin coat on there. You don't want it too heavy, and that will help you get your flowers done. And then don't forget to put your initials at least on the somewhere on there. So now that we're away from the close-up, let me show you. This is the egg lathe that I used. And you can use it for ornaments because you can put the round ornament in here very easily. You can put any size ornament in here very easily. And you can put lines on them or whatever you need to do. I use it for ornaments. I use it for eggs. I don't have the cup attachment. I use it for anything that I need to hold that has a roundish feel to it, you know. Today I just wanted to kind of give you an overview and show you what metallic looks like, tell you where you can find it, show you what matte looks like, tell you where you can find it, where you can get an egg lathe if you want one, and where you can buy the Easter items like eggs and bunnies. And well, thank you for watching. Pick up those brushes, keep painting. See you next time. Bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed the program, and I hope you'll take a minute to subscribe so that other people can learn more about China painting and we can get the word out to more people. You also can look at the links below. My PaintnPorcelain.com website has a lot of freebies and printables for new and experienced painters, as well as studies, supplies, and even some of my hand-painted china. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.